Hey everyone, it's Matt. I got a request to do an audio version of the Thanksgiving note that I posted to Facebook. And as many of you probably know, I love hearing the sound of my voice go on and on for 15 paragraphs about depression. So I thought, why not? So here in its entirety is my Thanksgiving note for you. Thanksgiving 2017. Saying, I shouldn't have made it through this year is potentially not the best way to start a letter about what you're thankful for this year. One, it sounds like the most Matt Shockian, over the top, dramatic thing ever. Like, who's going to believe that, man? And two, if your readers are expecting some happy ending, some way out of the woods, it's best not to start with a statement that offers little to no hope. In fact, though, this statement is actually true. I shouldn't have made it through this year. There are people who can confirm this. And yet, here I am. So if you've made it to paragraph 2, I can promise you the story so far has a happy ending. But to get there, we have to go to some really dark places. I don't even know if Taylor Swift herself has ever written something this personal. And so it goes. I shouldn't have made it through this year. Even getting to 2017 was a challenge. I started to lose all sense of enjoyment, all sense of self. The world seemed like a really, really dark place. 2016 was a dumpster fire, let's be honest. But then that tweet meme showed up, and as if on cue, 2017 said, hold my beer. Day one of a new beginning, a new year, and I began it by vomiting 4 times outside the Mall of America. And no, not some wicked party gone bad, not an exciting morning after either, just the not so benevolent gods cursing me with the flu on day one. I had to leave work early because I had barf on my shoes. So that's cool. I hadn't had a ton of belief in myself to begin with, but for whatever reason, getting sick always seemed to bring out the worst in me. It was as if I didn't believe my body was good enough to be healthy. From there, things cycled further in the wrong direction. I went through a complicated social situation, to put it lightly, and then from there, everything went to shit. 2016 ended with me hating myself, not feeling like I had a lot of friends, closing off from the world, and from day one of 2017, it got worse. I started to stop enjoying Lego. Now, those who have paid attention the past 2.5 years probably realize what a geek I've become and how important my job at Lego has become to me. But when you're depressed, haunted by friends and whatnot, it sucks. Big time. Are you still reading? Because I think this is so depressing that at this point it's my stately duty to remind you the story has a happy ending. So, yes, we're about to go further and deeper into some very dark places. But I promise you, if you stick with it until the end, it will all be okay. Just take 5 seconds to think of puppies playing. Okay, let's go. It didn't leave me with a lot of options. I had always felt depressed, but I never thought it was a problem. It was a phase, something I'd get over. The people who were sick of me not getting help, they were the ones in the wrong, not me. If they didn't want to be my friend, that was their problem. It couldn't be my fault. Right? Right? Just in case, I stopped opening up. I closed the Matt Schock book. Surely that was the problem. Surely if I hid all my problems, that would be the solution. It was not the solution. The thing is, I had always been on the side of let's get rid of the stigma about mental illness, but I had never truly believed it when it came to myself. Who was I if I was the person who needed medication to be happy? And what if it was worse? What if there was actually something wrong with me? Could I handle that kind of pressure, the judging looks from everyone? Would I suddenly be the object of pity? I decided it wasn't worth it. How could it be? There was obviously something wrong, but it wasn't worth finding out the answer to. So I was going to give up permanently, many times. I had people fight me to the death, probably not the best metaphor to use, about it, and they wouldn't stop. I was going insane, closing off to people who wanted me to be open, pushing as many people away as possible when they wanted me to let them in, acting out at work, at both jobs nonetheless. But in the end, I was pretty much on my own. I had to accept that I was going to have to stick around whether I wanted to or not. And at this point was when Chester Bennington died. Now, I am by no means attached to Chester or Linkin Park. I am what could best be described as a casual fan. But Chester committing suicide changed everything. I heard about people whose lives Chester impacted, and even in some cases saved. I read about how he had struggled with depression, read the quotes saying things to the effect of, "Yeah, we knew he was depressed. We never thought he'd do this, though." It was at this point the dustiest light bulb in the furthest corner started to spark. What if that were me? What if the same thing happened? Could I do that to all those people? Now, obviously, I am not the lead singer in some very popular band, nor was I that self obsessed or vain to think it would make some difference in the world. But would it? Could it? I knew I had to say something. I just didn't know what to say. So I came up with some generic thing. Reaching out for help is cool, man. It's okay to not be okay. It was by far the most personal I had gotten publicly in a long time. People started asking me if I was okay. Shit! They weren't supposed to find out. Surely, if I temporarily opened up, no one would question me, right? I could still get away with it. The problem was, as soon as I hit submit, it haunted me. How could I possibly post something that open and honest without actually believing in it myself? And it was at that point I finally took an albeit metaphorical look at myself and said, "Matt, you can't do this alone. And if you don't do something, you're going to die." So I did something about it, not die. Sorry, haters. Which is the simplest way to say it, but it's so much more complicated than that, because there were a lot of steps required in doing this. First, I had to admit to myself that it was time to get help, which, for those who know me really well, you probably know how goddamn stubborn I can be. Then I had to convince myself to go to a doctor. Then I had to tell said doctor, a total stranger, when I was hardly telling even my closest friends things, about all the things I was feeling. Then I had to start taking meds, lose some weight, correct some mistakes, try and repair some friendships, all without seeming like I had completely lost my mind. Oh, and somehow change a big part of myself I was clutching onto for 13 years so this wouldn't happen again. No biggie. Now, I've written 10 paragraphs of a thankfulness letter and not thanked a single damn person. Before you call this fake news, before I get outed as a liar, let me wrap this up with a bow and then I'll get into the thanks. If you're still reading this, you probably deserve some sort of monetary compensation. Just ask your boss or spouse or pet, whoever you feel you deserve a reward from. And yet, that was in late August. It's now November, and I'm still alive and kicking. Again, sorry haters. 58 pounds lighter and a whole fucking lot happier than I was before. Not only have I kept on this path to a new me, but in the most shocking twist to me ever, my friends have too. In fact, there haven't been many, and by many I mean any, people who haven't been the most loving, supportive people throughout this whole chaotic mess. And so, here we are, the moment you've been waiting for. I want to thank my friends this year. In sticking by me through thick and thin, you've given me a reason to keep going. You've proven me wrong on nearly every insecurity I've ever had. You've given me a reason to think it is actually okay to get help. But most importantly, you've taught me perhaps one of the most important lessons I always listened to but never heard. People who care about you and truly love you are going to be there through everything, no matter what. I want to especially thank each and every person at LEGO who in some way has contributed to this. I know putting up with me this year has not been fun or easy or anything of the sort. I went through an emo phase, but 80% of you, 100% of those 80 whose opinions I care about, stuck by me through it and were nothing but patient and supportive. Whether you made me laugh, gave me a shoulder to cry on in the parking lot, whether you called me when I was sick or texted me to see if I needed anything, whether you left, came back, did both, trust me, I would have left me too. Or if you gave some form of encouragement along the way about how proud you were of me for getting help, I truly, genuinely do not have the words to say thank you. This has been the worst, best, scariest, easiest, most contradictory year of my life ever. And I would not have gotten through it without the love and support of each and every single one of my friends. You've taught me to accept myself for who I am. You've taught me to never change who I am or never doubt it. And while I'm certainly not fully 100% recovered, the start is such a big improvement already. So, although you had to read 15 never-ending paragraphs about it for this anticlimactic conclusion, the chances are, if you're reading this, I'm truly, truly thankful for you. And since I highly doubt anyone is still reading to this point, Banana Sandwich, Podcast, Concert Tour, Smock, Melting Pot, Wigwam, Blastoise. Also, Maroon 5, Taylor Swift, and Bleachers have kept me going this year in music. What We Do in the Shadows was a genuine treasure I stumbled upon. It was the best movie experience of 2017. And of course, it wouldn't be a Thanksgiving letter without thanking the Marvel Cinematic Universe and cheeseburgers. If you're not listening to Comedy Bang Bang, you probably don't understand half the references I make without telling you, and that brings me enjoyment. Here's to 2017, a year of shine, shit, change, and can we just get to the good part already?